everybody! It's your friendly neighborhood unicorn. I don't do this very often, but I have my horns out today, and I'm all sparkled up for St. Patrick's Day. So I thought I would have a little bit of fun and tell you about my story in the Possessed by Passion box set, and maybe even read you a little bit from my story. But first, I have something to tell you. Did you watch the Grammys on Sunday? You know what the Grammys are, right? They're just like the Oscars of movies. Well, for an author, earning that USA Today title is very, very much like winning a Grammy or winning an Oscar. It is something that a lot of us dream about, and not everybody has the capabilities or the ability to obtain. It is very, very difficult. It requires a lot of work and selling a lot of books. I mean, a lot of books. And not just in Amazon. But we have to sell a lot of books on Apple and Nook and Kobo. We have to bother you for months and months and months. I mean, it takes a lot of preparation to do this. But at the end of the day, at the end of the week, it's all worth it when you get those shiny new letters to attach to your name. So, that is what I have been doing since like October. It started out with me trying to do that with the Stars Day box set, which didn't make list. We won't get into that. But that's how it happens sometimes. Sometimes, no matter how much, now, no matter how hard you work, it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't happen. So then I was invited to join in this other group, making a list run, with some authors I am really, really, really honored to be working with. These are some authors that I have known from the very beginning of, when I really started writing seriously back in 2012. Bella Emmy is one of them. I knew her since I think she put her first book out. Been a long time, but I am very, very honored to be included in this collection with her and with so many of the other crazy ink authors that I admire. I'm especially happy and honored to be working with Erin Lee, who put everything that she has into everything that she does for authors. I have never met a publisher so involved and so caring and so concerned with the success of her authors. And it is really, really nice. So, without further ado, let me tell you a little bit about the Possessed by Passion box set, and then I'll tell you more about my story. In this Possessed by Passion box set, you will find almost 700,000 words from 21, 22 stories. There's about 23 or 24 authors in the box set because 3 of those books are co-written. And that's only if you don't count the unicorn on my shoulder that helped me write mine. But anyway. And they're dark romance and they're paranormal romance. And most of you that read my stuff know that I am very, very heavy paranormal. I considered myself a horror writer for a long time. And I still write the horror stuff. But I'm finding that over time that I'm really much more of a paranormal person. There's some kind of paranormal element in almost every single thing I write. And I'm okay with that. I'm expanding my wings and I'm writing more stuff, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing. I'm a unicorn. That makes me unique, so why should I settle for being in one little niche, right? Anyway, so within Possessed by Passion, you will find 20 plus stories. And these are not short stories. They're not going to be quick reads. They're full-blown novellas, meaning most of these stories are 30,000 words and more. And I'm very, very excited to have you read about vampires and werewolves. There's a couple of gargoyles. Oh, I love me some gargoyles, man. I really, really do. I'm very, very gothic. I know it doesn't look like it with the horns and the sparkles, but I am. I really do like the gothic stuff. You'll find You'll even find a memoir. One of the stories in the book is written about an author's ex-boyfriend. Isn't that interesting? I bet you didn't know that, did you? And then you have rain that's poisonous. You have witches. There is a little bit of everything in this book. Paranormal, dark romance. I am just so excited to read the book because I haven't even read it all. I mean, it just came out today. My story is called Blood White, and it is inspired by Supernatural. Really. Actually, it's inspired by the very first episode of Supernatural that ever came out. When Dean and Sam, when Dean goes running off to the bridge, where the lady in white comes out and she's crying that she needs to get back home. Please take her home. Please take me home. And the guy picks her up, and he doesn't even get very far down the road, and all this magical wooey stuff happens, and he disappears. So Dean and Sam have to go find out what happened and fix it. Well, I saw an image that I really liked, and my favorite designer, Raquel Ann of No Spot Graphics, I sent it to her and told her my idea, and she brought it to life. And the more I thought about it, I had this title, and I had a bunch of other books in front of it that I needed to get finished for Crazy Ink, my publisher. So I just figured, okay, I'll just let it sit, and I'll get to it as soon as I can. Well, when the opportunity came up to write for Possessed by Passion, she told me that it had to be dark romance and paranormal. I was like, oh, I know exactly what book to write. I know exactly what to do. And thus, Blood White was born. Now, Blood White is a story of a lady in white, obviously, if that's what the Supernatural show is about. But this particular time in the story is a full moon. And she passed away. And so every 30 years on the anniversary of her death, very violent suicide death, she comes back. And she reclaims all of the young men that she can and put there. Well, Jennifer lost her boyfriend when May came back the first time. So this is 30 years later. Jennifer has a son. And now she knows May's coming back. And she doesn't want her son taken. I mean, she lost her husband. So why would she want to lose her son too, I mean, that's just how it goes. So that's what the premise of the story is. And I had a lot of fun writing it. And even the ending of the book itself surprised me. And I was a writer. I'm one of those ones that just kind of listens to the characters and goes where the story takes me. And so I end up with being surprised a lot. But I would like to read to you a little bit from the book today. I'm not going to start at the beginning, and I'm not going to start at the end. I'm actually going to start in chapter 3. There's a little language in here, but it's mild. Shit, Ma, wasn't lying. This fog is thicker than molasses on a waffle. Doesn't mean anything, Caleb said dismissively. He was nowhere near the bridge anyway, so the sudden crawl of his skin made no sense to him. His mother's voice filled his head, and he shivered. He could never tell her she got in his head. It was just fog rolling in off Flicker's Creek, just like any other night in Rickdale. Something shot out of the fog, and he slammed on his brakes. His head flying forward and smacking into the windshield. If the steering wheel hadn't been there, he would have gone through the window. His hand trembled as he called 911 on his cell phone and blacked out. This fog is never good. This fog is never good. Caleb opened an eye slowly. His mother spoke with a man in a white coat, a stethoscope around his neck, and a clipboard in his hand. Fortunately, Caleb has no serious injuries. Watch his concussion for 24 hours. His ribs will be sore for a couple of weeks. I suggest light duty for him the rest of the week and plenty of bed rest, the doctor said. Caleb tried to sit up and fell against the pillow, gasping. His chest felt like it was on fire. His head was heavy and his thoughts were groggy. Now, son, you haven't been released yet. Jennifer's finger pointed at Caleb's nose. You just lie back and relax. Looks like our argument was a waste of breath. You can't go anywhere anytime soon. Caleb groaned. His mother sounded way too pleased, almost as if she had called the fog up herself to keep him from leaving. Duke, he said, his word coming out between jagged breaths. Duke survived 20 years without you. He can survive in Texas for a week. You heard the doctor. Light duty, lots of rest. I'm quite sure he wouldn't consider a cross-country trip either light or restful. I guess I can put my rope away. Rope? Jennifer laughed. Yes. If you wouldn't listen to reason, I was going to tie you to a chair and spoon-feed you for a week. Ma! Caleb laughed despite his sore ribs and instantly regretted it. Don't make me laugh. Well, it's your own fault. She refused to give in. No, you show the blame on my accident, Ma. If you hadn't called, I would have been at my apartment before the fog rolled in. Jennifer's chin dropped. You didn't have to pick up the phone. Right, Ma. Like you let me live that down. If I don't answer your calls, you send the sheriff around to check on me. Jennifer blushed. It was only one time. Yeah, one time I didn't answer because I had special company. She'll never go out with me again. Everyone thinks I'm a mama's boy now. I'll never find a wife. Caleb grimaced as his excitement made him breathe too hard. How long do I have to stay in here? Supposedly, they're drawing up your discharge papers now. I want you to stay with me for a couple of days, please? Caleb's mind whirled. 2 days of constant batter from his mom about leaving town was worse than being on his own and taking care of himself. On one condition, he said finally. Oh, what's that? She sniffed. No more talk about May White. Not unless I bring it up first, which we both know I won't. Deal? You can't wrap your chest yourself. Doesn't mean I have to stay at your house. Jennifer squeezed her eyes shut and covered them with her hand. Fine, no more talk about May White. Caleb eyed his mom closely. She caved much too easily. That includes anything to do with ghostly hitchhikers, spirits in the fog, the full moon, and especially that abandoned house. They demolished it. No one goes there anymore. She squinted at him. Deal? I mean, you want me to rest and relax, right? How can I do that if we keep arguing about dead people? Jennifer stared at the ceiling. Her lips pinched together, and Caleb knew he'd struck a nerve. Fine, she said. But mark my words, you will want to talk about it before the week is over. A smug smile replaced her disappointment. You will, Caleb. You'll see. Doubtful, but thanks, Ma. I really didn't want to have to be alone. You want to find out why he was in the hospital and what was going on and who Duke is and what they're talking about and what happens in the fog. You're just going to have to pick up the box set. It's only 99 cents, but it's only 99 cents for a very limited time, and then it's going to go up in price. So I suggest that you pick it up right now, today, at the link I'll leave in the comments for you. Thank you for hanging out with me. This has been a visit by your friendly neighborhood unicorn, and I will see you next time. Toodaloo!